Hi, and welcome back to the channel. Here's another short story. This one's a time travel idea, and it's based on a strange discovery made in the past. I hope you enjoy it. It's called The New Old World. I had been deliberately vague about why we wanted a cameraman to record our trip, until the doors were shut and there was no way of backing out. "This is a pretty neat setup," Seb said as we showed him the thing we had made. We let him walk all around it and then took him inside. He looked at the controls, the absence of windows and the comfy seats. "What does it do?" "It's a time machine," said Hazel, my wife and co-designer. "We need you to document what we find." She handed him an envelope. "Here's the fee, as agreed." "Oh no," said Julie, the girl Seb had come with. He told us that she was his girlfriend and business manager. "You shouldn't get involved in some sort of geek's fantasy, Seb," she said. "We're leaving. Come on." "Wait a moment, Jules," he replied. "Let's not be too hasty. They've paid me for a day's work. Where's the harm in indulging them?" "Give it back." She sounded worried. "It has to be some sort of scam. Endorse it and you'll end up looking stupid." There was a loud click. Hazel had started the sequence anyway. "What was that?" she said. "Just me locking the doors and setting the temporal displacement program running," Hazel replied. "We're on the way now and nothing can stop us." "You've kidnapped us," Julie said. "I want to get out now. When we arrive and it's all a joke, your life won't be worth living." "Just think about it for a moment," said Hazel. "Why would I give you money if I wanted to scam you? It's quite safe. We've done this before. You can't use the doors while we're in the temporal path." Seb looked a little less worried than she did. "Come on, babe," he said. "It'll be a laugh, something to tell our grandchildren." "If this goes wrong, we won't have any," she snapped. "Anyway, if we're travelling, like you say we are, why can't I feel any motion?" "Well, you won't," I said. "We're not travelling in location today, just in time. Going backwards, actually." I pointed to a dial. The numbers were getting smaller. We were already 1,000 years in our past. "How far back are we going?" Seb asked. The counter was now showing the building date of the Great Pyramid. The speed of change was increasing as we built up the acceleration. The numbers started to blur. "Around 70 million years, said Hazel. "We went yesterday, but we didn't want to leave the machine and explore. Not until we had a way of recording it." "Don't we have to be careful time travelling?" Julie asked. She seemed to have calmed down. Perhaps she still thought it was some sort of trick. "Of course we do," I said. "We arrived in a canyon yesterday. It looked deserted, just rocks and sand. There was no way of proving that we had travelled in time. We could have been in a quarry somewhere. But about 50 metres away from us there was what looked like an open space. We were going to walk to it and take a look, with you filming as an independent witness." "What about dinosaurs?" Julie asked. "Will we get eaten?" "Well, we could hear all sorts of noises," I said, "but we couldn't see anything. But be careful. Just a quick look, take some pictures, and we'll come straight back." "We have to follow some rules, though," said Hazel. "Don't pick the flowers, don't swat a fly or kill a butterfly. Even though it's 5 million years before the Great Extinction event, we don't know what effect anything we do might have on our timeline." There was a pause while they both digested that. I wasn't surprised at Julie's disbelief. I'd have felt the same if I hadn't spent the last 2 years building this machine. "Why 70 million years ago?" Seb asked. "Why not go to something a bit closer? An historic event that we could verify?" "Well, that's obvious," Hazel said. "What if we change things? Suppose we arrived at the Battle of Hastings and stopped Harold from getting killed. Perhaps our arrival helped him to win. Or worse, we went to Jerusalem and found that it was all just a story. What would the effect be of that knowledge? We need to be sensible." "OK," he said, "I understand." "Well, how did you invent this?" "I haven't got long enough to tell you," I said as the machine bleeped, "because we're here." I opened the door. We were exactly where we had been yesterday. I recognised the rock formations in the cliffs that surrounded us and the bright gap ahead. "How did you do that?" asked Julie, peering nervously out of the door. I didn't feel us move. I thought it was just some sort of a wind-up. "What is this place?" "I told you, it's the past," I replied. "We're exactly where we were on the Earth's surface, in terms of latitude and longitude, just 70 million years ago." So this really is a time machine. Julie finally seemed to be convinced. Yes, now it's time to go and see what's at the end of the canyon. We all left the machine and stood on the pinkish rock floor. Loose material crunched after our feet. I locked the machine up. Seb filmed everything. "Is that necessary?" asked Hazel. "Locking up? There's nobody here to steal it." "Force of habit, I guess. We don't want anything getting inside." In single file we walked carefully down the canyon, keeping close to the cliffs on one side. It was humid and the air felt thick and much harder to breathe. I remember reading somewhere that the ancient atmosphere was different. I took a sample jar from my pocket and opened it, letting it fill with this mixture. We could analyse it later at our leisure. Suddenly, a huge dragonfly, at least a metre long, shot past us. Julie screamed and clutched at Seb, swinging him round. He dropped the camera. "Is it broken?" Hazel asked him. That was all we needed. He bent to pick it up. "No," he said, "it's still working." We reached the end of the canyon. The land opened out in front of us. We were stood on a narrow ledge. It looked like we were about 20 metres up a cliff. We were level with the treetops. Beneath the trees it was hard to see the ground, but judging from the noises there were some big animals in that forest. You could see glimpses of brown and green bodies between the branches. More of the dragonflies buzzed about. As we stood, not knowing what we should do, there was a noise above us. A large flock of oversized bats with long necks flew over us. "What are they?" Seb asked as he swung the camera to follow them. "I've never seen anything like that in any book on dinosaurs." "Well, it's crazy how little we know about this time," I told him. "If they haven't been fossilised, or we haven't found the fossils yet, how will we know what animals actually existed?" "Never mind that," said Hazel. "Look over there." She pointed into the distance. Something rose up, higher than the trees. A regular shape. It looked vaguely familiar. And that was when things started to get a bit strange. I pulled my binoculars from my pack and took a look. "It's a ruined building," I said, "or at least it looks like one." "But it can't be," said Julie. "It has to be a trick of the light, some weird way the trees are growing." Seb zoomed in on it with his camera. "Looks like a building to me," he said. We huddled around the camera's fold-out screen. It was definitely the remains of a skyscraper. "We need to get closer. Take a proper look," said Julie, suddenly the keenest one among us. "We can't risk it," I said. "What if one of us gets injured, or we get stuck and can't get back to the machine?" "Hey, you!" Someone was shouting at us. We turned towards the source of the shout. A man, tall and bearded, dressed in faded denim and carrying a shotgun, was striding towards us. "What are you doing here?" We all said it at once. I hope you enjoyed that. Keep checking back for more. See you soon.